Okay, let's look at Chapter 8. Defining things clearly in research is just about everything. It's very important that we define things clearly and that we use the same words throughout the research. We don't mystify people by using different definitions for different things. Use the same words exactly the same way throughout the study, and we explain to anyone reading our work exactly what we mean by these words and exactly, especially, how we intend to measure them. Obviously, if we measure poorly, then our study will suffer. And if we measure something that didn't really measure what we thought it measured, then the results of our studies won't be valid. We're talking about reliability and validity in measurement, which tends to confuse students. So I'm going to do the best I can to try to demystify it. But think of it this way. If the way we measure isn't reliable or valid, then how can we say that our study's findings are reliable or valid? Basically, we can't. So the degree to which our study is free from random error is exactly how reliable the study is, and it tells us how likely we can repeat the study and get similar findings. If a test is if you get similar findings in different kinds of studies for the same thing, then you have more evidence that what you're trying to prove is actually possible. It's possible that it's true or significant in some way. Anyways, if a test is well constructed, then each item, each question on the test really is measuring what we want to measure in some way or another. Each item is consistent with the theme. So if you're testing for depression, all of the items will be testing for depression, and answers to one will reflect the same thing as answers to the others, depression. This is what we mean by internal consistency of the test. All of the measures, all of the items, are testing for the same thing. To find out if that's true, we use something called a Cronbach alpha to attest that it is true. This is attesting to the internal consistency or the reliability of our measurement when we analyze our data. When we analyze the data, after it's been plugged into the statistics program, all we have to do is ask the program to give us an alpha. And voila, you know how reliable the measurement really was. If you use a reliable test, you're going to get the same alpha as everybody else who used the test. That's why we try to get tests that have already been established reliable and internally consistent based upon relatively high alpha scores. These are in the 70s, 80s, and 90th percentiles. The degree to which our measurement is free from systemic error refers to meaning. This is something completely different. If questioning is biased, then the measurement of the data will be biased too, will systematically affect the findings. Go over the systematic threats to measurement that are discussed in this chapter. Briefly, I can tell you that content validity refers to measuring exactly what you want to measure. So when you choose a test to measure something, say depression, there is another test out there that measures something very similar, say perhaps apathy. This is also, by the way, called construct validity. Anyways, you'll look, if you're trying to be sure that what you're testing for tests for depression, then people who score highly on depression, on this depression test, are also going to have scored highly on another kind of test related to depression, say, for example, apathy. And when you're choosing the test, it's going to tell you, you're going to be able to find when you do a little research on the test itself, that indeed it's scored highly for other similar kinds of variables. To defend your dissertation, you would want to look these things up when you're designing your study. You would want to defend the use of your depression test based on its content validity. And someone out there has already done this. It's already legitimized your test this way. And somebody outside is mowing the grass, and that's why you hear all that background garbage. But we're going to go really quickly here. Another way to defend your use of a particular measure is to see if it has convergent validity. If you were to compare results for a test on depression with the results for a test on happiness, you would find that the tests don't correlate positively at all. You want to tell me that when you're defending your proposal about why you used it. The test had convergent validity. I would be duly impressed if you did that. I would imagine you don't have to do that to get by in this school, but it would be very impressive if you did. Criterion validity is another way that your test actually predicts what it should. So if your subject's tested highly, for example, on a math aptitude, then they're going to probably place out of beginner's math. And if they do, then you know that the test had criterion validity. These are just concepts you need to know what they mean, how they actually affect your study. Hopefully, you're going to get some information on that when you do your dissertation. When you need help, you ask for help because you might just need it. By and large, you just want to wrap your heads around the ideas, and you'll figure it out as you go along.